Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to the Falcoholic Lives Falcons vs. Cardinals week 10 post-game show. What else do we have to say? It's starting to feel like 2020, where we just sort of like ran out of bad things to say about the team, and it was just at a certain point, it was like, oh man, this is just sad. I feel like I'm kicking, someone while they're down, like we sort of said it all, but you know, honestly, this week felt exactly like last week. It's like, wow, we should be scoring more against this defense. Wow, we shouldn't be giving up this many points to this offense. And that's basically exactly what happened. Now, there's various reasons, we'll get into them. Not that there's any really good reasons for any of those things, but Falcons lose another super close game. This time, of course, to the Arizona Cardinals. And Kyler Murray was back, and he did look healthy. Didn't play a flawless game, but it was certainly enough to avoid this Falcons pass rush. So we will get into it. Before we do, of course, want to check in with the co-hosts tonight. We have with us Alan Strk. He's at Alan Strk on Twitter. Alan, how we doing? How we handling it?
Trying to keep a serious face. I won't get caught on camera laughing like Desmond Ritter after a failed 4th-and-1 quarterback sneak. This will probably be my last time wearing a jersey for a bit because I'm tired of putting effort on a team that just find ways to lose. I'm not trying to be too angry right now or to be too negative, but I mean, we got Cole how we see it. This is rock bottom. Like, there's no doubt about it. This is rock bottom. And we're going to have a long conversation where there's really not too many positives. Like, other than seeing Bijan Robinson do his thing a bit and Drake London doing his best Mike Evans impression on the catch. And salute, of course, the great Nate Landman. I'm going to start a petition to get Nate Landman to the Pro Bowl. Get this man to the Pro Bowl. Peyton Ellis, damn good game too. But besides that, there's no positives, folks.
Yeah, I've been instructed by the chat that now that they're 4-6, it's time for the ponytail to get undone. So we're taking this team casually now. So we're just letting the hair down for this one.
You know what I thought you were gonna say? I thought you were gonna say it's draft season. That's what.
Yeah, it is. It is also draft season. You guys are gonna get a mock draft. It's coming. So, they did this. I said, like, you guys better win or I'm going to do a mock draft. And they didn't win, so we're getting a mock draft. I mean, they could have done something. Shout out to Marcus Maynard for the first donation, too. $10. Thanks, Marcus. Appreciate that.
I should be ready to give up on it. But the thing is, we can't even do that yet.
We can't because the division sucks ass again.
The division is just that bad, bro.
Yeah, if they win next week, they'll be in first. So
after the bye.
Oh yeah, after
if they beat the Saints, they're literally in first place because, bro, we need to make a petition for no team in the NFC South to go to the playoffs this year.
Yes,
somebody needs to stop them. Again.
Yeah, somebody needs to stop this team.
It's 2022 all over again.
It was bad
last year too.
2014 was really bad. By go, you mean?
Yeah, but nobody wants to see an NFC South team in the playoffs. Like, all of these teams are fucking terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, let me get to
the Vikings get in the playoffs.
Right. Yes, please. Yes. Let me get to our Betonline read here real quick before I intro our other guest. We were talking to him, Adnan. It is Adnan, by the way, in case anyone was being held in suspense. But real quick, guys, betonline.ag is sponsored today's show. Thanks to those guys. The last of the major pro sports leagues is off and rolling, and college basketball is ready to go as well. BetOnline remains your top spot for all your live betting action and contests. You can get NFL, college football, UFC, and NHL all in full swing, and BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. You can get all that hoops betting action along with the NFL through the Super Bowl and college football through the college football playoff and just a bunch of other sports as well, all at your fingertips with both desktop and now mobile access at any time. So head to the BetOnline website today and remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. And we'll check in on prize picks later, which Arthur Smith definitely ruined by not kicking the field goal on that 4th-and-1. So thanks Arthur for that one. Thanks for killing my prize picks as well. But we got a lot of things to get to. My betting is the least of our concerns. So, but Adnan, welcome to the show. I wanted to make sure to give you your formal introduction. We were talking obviously, but how are you handling this latest disappointment from the Falcons?
I mean, I was telling you before the show, I refuse to give them this sort of power over me at this point. I did all season, but I'm not going to let them ruin my night more than they have already. Like, I'm going to, I literally came into this game expecting a loss. Like
Yeah.
I did not. I genuinely, especially after the news that David Onyemata was out,
Yeah.
because that's a very big loss, and still the defense did what they could. The defense did. Sure, they gave up 25 points, but with no Grady Jarrett, with no David Onyemata, they still made plays up until the very end. And you know, it was just another week of watching the offense for a very long time get stuck in neutral at one of the most inopportune times during the game when you really could have separated yourself a little bit. And you know what? Instead, team goes out there, loses to a 1-8 football team, which, with in all due fairness, Kyler Murray hasn't played yet up until this week. Connor was out for a few weeks, but if you really want to do something in this league, you can't be losing to teams like the Arizona Cardinals here. So basically, this is a very long-winded answer, and the short form of that answer is let's go Hawks.
Yeah. Let's go Hawks. I agree. I like that one. Yeah, I mean, I it's hard to think of this team. It's hard to think of this team as being much going forward because it's they've just lost to some really bad teams. They're clearly struggling to beat even bad teams at this point. I mean, it's getting ugly out there. I'm really not like I'm saying this is dooming the season because this just showed us that this team is going to struggle to beat every single team. They will never be able to just handle anybody. They're really mediocre at best, and they're probably worse than mediocre at this point. I mean, they're 4-6, so I don't really know what you hang your hat on. Everything on the offense has regressed. The offensive line is nowhere near as good. They were giving up crazy pressure to this just awful Cardinals pass rush. They were barely Bijan Robinson was making as much as he could out of it, but they're just not opening up holes consistently against even bad run defenses. They're refusing to throw the ball effectively. They just won't do it. It's like, oh, well, they said we need to give the ball to Bijan, so we're just going to Taylor Heinicke threw 12 passes in the first half and only connected on 5. He had 30 yards going into halftime.
And none of them travel over 10 yards downfield. You heard the commentators emphasizing that. So it's like the extremes. It's like, God forbid this team could have some balance. When the team is actually balanced, they play well. But, last week the whole argument was, oh, they need to run the ball more. And now we go to a new extreme. It's just, there's no consistency. There's no balance.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's rough. And it's been, it's like if this was just one thing, but no, it's a 3-game losing streak now against Titans, Vikings. And I think honestly, the Vikings are probably better than people think. It was just the manner of that loss was the worst part, right? You give up 30 points to a quarterback who's literally not even taking a practice snap with the team. And that's the thing with this defense is I think if you look at this, the parts on this defense, it's oh, this should be a good defense, but they have one fatal flaw, and it's so much worse when Onyemata's not in there. They can't rush the passer. They cannot. They are awful at getting quarterbacks on the ground. The edge rush is so bad. They absolutely depend upon David Onyemata and Grady Jarrett wrecking people. And if they don't have that, they're just really bad. They can get pressure with their blitzes, but nobody can get the quarterback on the ground. That's part of why we're seeing that. Going into this game, they were 4th in pressure rate, which is wow, that's really good. Yeah, and they're still in the bottom 10, bottom 8 in terms of sacks, despite that. So it's they don't have any juice in the pass rush, and it's literally crushing them. That's why they can't take advantage of any offensive line situations. They can't take advantage of any bad quarterbacks because they're getting pressure, but they don't get sacks. They can't put the clamps on anybody now. And with Onyemata out, this defense has become a disaster. They did as well as they could. But they're really lucky that a bunch of Cardinals players dropped wide open passes, and Murray just threw a complete gift to Nate Landman, who thankfully didn't drop it. A lot of players in the secondary.
He overthrew Hollywood Brown early on when Hollywood Brown was wide open in the end zone as well.
They're lucky they didn't give up a 40 burger. Exactly, like you're saying. It's just. Yeah.
And the thing is, this feels like this show and what we saw from this game feels like it's just going to be a repeat of every single thing that we've said over the past week. It's just a culmination of. I don't think we're going to say anything new today that we haven't over the past 7 days, and that's including the Wednesday show and the show last Sunday. And I'm going to repeat, something that Eric Robinson said on Wednesday. And it's the fact that this team really sort of did fail in not securing that pass rusher. And look, I'm not saying trade a first rounder for Montez Sweat, but I am saying you could have traded a third rounder for someone like a Chase Young. And we saw it at the very end of that game. The biggest play of this game was 3rd and 10. Kyler Murray gets pressured in the backfield, runs away from it, 13-yard gain, first down. From there on, you just knew that this game was completely over. And, that's one of those plays where you need a playmaker to step up and to sort of call the shot. The same thing happened last week with Josh Dobbs, where they had him wrapped up. I think Bud Dupree missed that sack. It happens again this week. And I feel like normally that playmaker is Grady Jarrett for this team, where, he really steps up when you really need it. But you know what? Grady Jarrett's out, and nobody's going to feel sorry for you. You can't just have one of those guys overall, because, it's the NFL. Injuries will happen. So, the defense lets up in the biggest moment of the game. And then you see Kyler Murray on the other side. That's what a playmaker does. That's what someone who, is on that level of elevating a football team. That's what he does. He goes out there, and even when he's under pressure, he gets out of it, and he comes up with the biggest play of the game. And you know what? It's ball game at that point. And to be honest with you, the second that this team did not get that 2-point conversion, I knew that this game was lost. Like, you just knew that they were going to go downfield and at the very least kick that field goal. There was no doubt in my mind that this defense was not going to get it done at the very end of that game. Sure, Nate Landman made a couple of really nice plays. Caden Ellis made a really nice play. But it was on you. I feel like it was on the offense to gain that separation at that point to really – not put the defense in that position down two of your best playmakers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your defense is down, like you said, your defense is down like two of your best pass rushers. Like, you have to, like, bail them out. Like, you have to, like, not put them in this situation now where they have to go prevent a field goal for you to win games. Like, and, like, I'm sorry, but, like, scoring 25 points doesn't seem like that's too much to ask for this offense given what we've invested. Like, but it seems like it's like a struggle every single week to get there. And again, like, I'm sure when Jordan gets here, he's going to rail on this. But, like, I'm sorry, Arthur Smith, you need to take the fucking points. Like, when you're in field goal range, take the fucking points. Stop getting cute. Stop going for it on 4th down. Because, and like, honestly, the play call was good. Desmond Ridder should have had an easy first down. So, like, it's not the play call that was the problem there.
He lost his fucking footing.
Yeah. The problem is this.
I don't know why he had to go left. Why not just go straight up the gut?
Because it was it was like the design of the play was that it was supposed to be like sort of faking the sneak, and he would go to the left.
The play was good. The play was really good. How do you I don't get how you like. That's just a microcosm of the entire season for this team. Yeah. You have the open lane. You think you're going to go through it. You think that you have it. And then you how do you trip in that situation, in that moment? That's just, he just Falcons that shit up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more as a player, like, I'm trying not to be too disrespectful here, but he is just fragile. Like, you see him in the pocket. He goes down very easily to contact. The Jeffrey Simmons fumble from a few weeks ago. Most quarterbacks in the league do not get strip sacked there. You just see, like, for a guy who's tall, he's just very skinny, and he goes down rather easily. He does not handle contact well. So putting him in a QB sneak situation, you can't expect to make those tough yards. Like, you see it time and time again where it's just like, that's why, as frustrating as Heineke is, at least Heineke, and you saw multiple times in the pocket, great scrambling, great job evading pressure. Like, there's moments where Ridder just, unless it's a clean lane, you just can't expect them to, like, really make plays.
But it was a clean lane. It was a clean lane, and he fucking tripped.
And that's what I was going to say is, like, this team is the worst team at executing on offense. Like, the play calls aren't, it's like, I don't even want to throw Arthur Smith entirely under the bus for the play calls, because, like, the play calls are not always great, but, like, sometimes the play is called right, and they just fuck it up. But, like, that also goes back to the coach, because, like, why are your players falling over? Like, why is everyone so sloppy with how everything's executed? Like, why are we getting all these penalties? Like,
if it's a one-time thing, sure, but if it keeps happening over, you have to look at the coaching. Like, what the fuck are you doing in practice?
Yes.
But,
It's so sloppy, man.
We got like, if it wasn't a screen, they had no quick game, constant empty sets. I think we had to wait till the third quarter for a play action and I was ironically on when Ritter came in, he hit London on the crosser. Yeah. There's no play action, no quick game. Like, let's get Kyle Pitts total afterthought. Like, it was just I understand why to emphasize running the ball. And the first half was excellent. Like people were getting on Heineke's case in the first half. Like, why his numbers are so down? I'm like, they're moving the ball really well. But that third quarter we've seen some bad quarters this year. That third quarter, outside the Landman interception, one of the worst third quarters you'll ever see from this team.
Yeah, it's like it just keeps getting worse. Like, they just keep playing more and more down to their opponent every single week. Like, they just keep getting worse. They keep getting easier and easier opponents. They just keep getting worse. Like, it's bad, man. It's bad.
We talk about the trenches, but other things need to be acknowledged. I don't recall anyone coming close to knocking a ball intended towards Trey McBride. And then very fitting, the final play, Richie Grant just completely loses balance. And Richie Grant's been prominent coverage for a while now.
Oh, yeah.
So that just encapsulates everything. But you just see, like, there were so many easy, quick completions. And it's just like, he needs to adjust a little bit to test McBride a little bit. He's a decent tight end, but I feel like every target towards him was uncontested. And it was just like, man, like, even the back end really. I know Terrell had a couple of pass breakups to me. The other corners didn't really get tested, but it's just middle of the field. They were getting eaten alive.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't seem to have any answer for Trey McBride because you can't trust Richie Grant in coverage, and if one of your safeties can't cover, then that's a big problem. Like, I mean, it's a big hole in your defense, so that's not great. And it's not like you can, like, if they had Troy Anderson, they could probably have him cover tight ends sometimes because I think he can be really good at man coverage potentially, but like, they don't have Troy Anderson right now, right? So their linebacker coverage is extremely limited as a result because as much as Nate Landman is beyond reproach in this game, don't get me wrong, like, hero game, clearly one of the best run defending linebackers in the NFL. Like, he's not a coverage linebacker. Like, that's really not his thing. He needs to be downhill. He needs to get down and get players. And he's always going to be limited in that way, but he can be good if deployed in that way. But right now, like, Caden Ellis is not exactly a great coverage linebacker either. So, like, you have two of those guys on the field. It sort of limits your options against tight ends. And with Richie Grant playing terribly, it's like, well, that's just a recipe for bad things happening back there.
You need Jesse Bates as the deep line safety, the organizers. So I don't think you could put Jesse Bates in man coverage. So, yeah, like I said, no other options. But, man, it was just all first half. It's just like every throw to McBride. It couldn't have been easier. It was like watching Brian Van Gorder defenses all over again. Like, just easy access yardage.
Bro, Trey McBride is a decent player.
Yeah.
Like, Trey McBride, like, we made Trey McBride look like fucking prime Rob Gronkowski out there. Like, he looked like Travis Kelce out there. I
was going to say Travis Kelce.
Like, genuinely, this is the first time Arizona has had a tight end get 100 yards in a game since 1989. Like, Trey McBride dropped 131 yards on you. Like, no disrespect to Trey McBride, but you're getting cooked by Trey fucking McBride. Yeah, that sounded really disrespectful, actually.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Trey McBride is actually good, okay? I'm just saying, like...
Okay, my apologies.
He was like a second... He was a second-round pick.
Not good.
He had a breakout game a couple weeks ago.
To that range, but maybe I gotta watch him more.
Yeah,
I mean, he was like,
he was like one of my top tight ends that year. He like crushed the Senior Bowl. He's a good player, but like
he's a fine player. But
he's not.
He dropped 131 yards on you. He had 16 yards per catch on 8 catches. It's not just like one time he got a 16-yard reception. It's like, all right, it is what it is. But oh my God, like they were just leaving, like.
Yeah, they were just not covering him. Like
they just weren't covering him.
No,
Kevin, another tight end getting 10+ targets in a game.
I know. And it wasn't Kyle Pitts. Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course it wasn't fucking Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts is like a complete afterthought in this offense. It's hilarious. Like
that's a Kyle Pitts stat line. 3 catches, 30 yards. That's become a Kyle Pitts stat line over the past 2 years.
He's just not it. Like he's clearly just not even like a part of the, like he's barely a part of the game plan. He's like, oh well, we'll throw him something occasionally, like, you know.
And that's
whatever.
Absolutely malpractice, given the fact that you took him number 4 overall in what's looking like a very historic draft class outside of the quarterbacks. But I mean, like, was this the vision? Like, is this the vision for Kyle Pitts when you made him the highest drafted tight end? Like, it all
No,
goes back to the head coach.
it's
And
not. Yeah.
bro, and the thing is, like, I don't care what you say. There is no way Terry Fontenot was the brains behind that pick. There is no way that he was the one that was like, you know what, Kyle Pitts at number 4. That's who I want. And this isn't me having any inside like information. This is just me speculating, given the fact that Terry Fontenot comes from a background in New Orleans where they had a very successful team building it around the trenches. And then you had Arthur Smith, who comes from a background as a tight ends coach. So I can only imagine that he was the brains behind the Kyle Pitts pick. But you know what? Right now we're pointing fingers, but that's sort of what happens when you're 4-6 for the third straight year. And that's sort of what happens when you've made no significant progress this year as opposed to year 3 as opposed to year 1, as the head coach of this team. Like, genuinely, this team, I think I'm ready to say right now that this team set itself back about 3 years, at least 2 years, by making the wrong head coaching decision during that 2021 offseason.
Yeah, and it's sad, and like I this gets to one of the donations from a formulator, I believe, with the $5. He says Kevin wanted Arthur Smith for head coach, despite him riding prime Derrick Henry to his career. Why? So Arthur Smith didn't get his career based on Derrick Henry. First of all, go watch his offenses in 2019 and 2020 and tell me they look anything like this Atlanta offense. They don't. Like, these are they're not the same. Like, he's trying to do some of the same things, but the reason it's not working is because he hasn't been able to find a quarterback. That's a big part of it. And he hasn't updated or adjusted anything. Like, people have seen what he was doing those 2 years that was working, and they've adjusted, and he has not. So he's running the same stale plays from those seasons still, and has not evolved his offense at all. And people have caught up with him. And it's leading to like these weird, just really stale offensive game plans that other teams seem extremely prepared for. And it's just bizarre because we're not even featuring the guys that we got for this offense. Like, Drake London had 3 catches or something in this game. Kyle Pitts had 3 targets, and we're drawing up plays for Jonnu Smith. And like, Jonnu Smith's fine. He's a fine player, but like, where are our plays for Kyle Pitts? Where are our plays for Drake London? Like, we get down to the red zone and it's like we just start like doing anything but throwing the ball to Drake London and Kyle Pitts. Coaching the NFL is hard, but it doesn't have to be this hard. Like, it doesn't have to be this hard. Like, he is making this so much harder, and I think he's just outsmarting himself. He's like, well, they're going to cover Kyle Pitts, so we can't make plays for Kyle Pitts. No, like, you got to make plays for Kyle Pitts because now you have Drake London and Bijan Robinson and other guys that are decent in the red zone. Like, Jonnu Smith is like a legit red zone threat. Like, so now you have to have other plays too. You can't just have stuff for Jonnu Smith. Like, where's your Kyle Pitts plays? Like, you clearly had a vision for this player at 4 overall, and like, you've completely come off it. And like, maybe they'll say like, oh, well, Kyle Pitts sucks. Like, he's not good enough, so we can't make him a featured part of our offense. But I just don't believe it. I just don't.
Yeah, and I do want to say, I'm not saying that Kyle Pitts is a bad player. I'm not even saying that in a vacuum that the pick was horrendous at the moment. It was made, even though, like, to be honest with you, like, taking a tight end before anything else on a rebuild
before a quarterback team. I mean, come on. Yeah, like, that was a big mistake. Like, there's no way around it.
Like, positional, say what you want about positionless football and like whatever propaganda they were trying to like run with in training camp, but positional value matters, and the positional value of a quarterback is a lot higher than that of a tight end. But that's neither here nor there. The issue is how Kyle Pitts has been used, or the lack of his usage the last 2 years. You cannot justify making that selection and not making him the focal point of your offense. It feels like, you took Kyle Pitts, you used him with Matt Ryan for that first year. He had over 1,000 yards. And then it almost feels like Arthur Smith was like, okay, like, I'm done playing with that toy. I want this new shiny toy, Drake London, in the next draft. And then we're just not going to really use Kyle Pitts as much last season. And although, in fairness, Marcus Mariota was very bad, but then there's no justification to then this year once again being like, okay, like, forget about those guys. I want a new shiny toy in Bijan Robinson in the top 10, and I'm just not going to use my skill position players. And Kyle Pitts has been the biggest sacrifice behind that because, I guess you can argue that Drake London is used here and there, even though
he's like the one that is, yeah.
Yeah, he is, but even he, like, there's like moments, there's like games where even he's being ignored. Like this game, he wasn't really like used at all until toward the very end of the game when Desmond Ridder came in.
Yeah.
But you know what? I just I don't. It feels like a coach that doesn't know what he wants to do with the skill position players that he invested top 10 picks in, and that's the issue right there. Like you cannot justify using do you know what the number 4 overall pick in the NFL draft is?
It's a transcendent player. It should be someone that changes the face of your team. And like
that's the face of your franchise. That's the face of a franchise.
Mm-hmm. And they're treating him like a wide receiver 3. Like he's barely a factor. Like it's just like,
and it's not fair to him. Like it's not fair because
he should be the featured target on this offense.
Like, Kyle Pitts on a better offense, Kyle Pitts on the Cowboys, Kyle Pitts on the Chargers, we would probably be talking about him as being the next person to take the mantle from Travis Kelce and to compete with Mark Andrews as, that next great tight end. But I mean, instead, here in Atlanta, like you have people questioning his talent, which shouldn't be questioned. He's an incredibly talented player. Like, you saw the measurables, you saw the speed, you saw everything you needed to see in college, in the combine. And instead, I genuinely wonder what Kyle Pitts feels about all of this.
I'm sure he's pissed. He's way too,
say anything.
Yes.
But I mean, this is affecting his future earning potential.
Yes.
This is affecting
everything. Let's keep that in mind.
Yeah. No, like I think what we can say now at this point, and I think this is maybe the crux of why Arthur Smith has failed in Atlanta, and I think he has failed here. We'll see if he can right the ship, but like I don't believe that it's possible. Like, what is the bye week going to fix for this team, right? So like Arthur Smith thought his scheme was good enough that he didn't need a quarterback. That's my honest opinion. Like now they tried to trade for Deshaun, and that would have been an even bigger mistake. But like,
I don't even think that was an Arthur Smith thing. I think that was
no, it wasn't. It wasn't, and that's what I'm saying. Like this is like clearly didn't think they needed to plan for the future after Matt Ryan in 2021, where they drafted Pitts instead. And that if Matt Ryan had stayed around with Pitts, maybe it would have worked out because that was electric. Like we saw what Pitts could be as a rookie. We haven't seen that since. Which is a real indictment on this coaching staff. But like Arthur Smith passed on a quarterback with the first pick of his regime that was in the top 4, where there was a legit prospect in Justin Fields. And like Justin Fields has been far from a clean prospect. I think we all know that. But like I think in Atlanta he would have been better. Would he have been a franchise quarterback? I don't know. I can't answer that. But I think that he would be better here, certainly, with this stability around him and this better coaching staff. But guess what? Arthur Smith's scheme is actually not that special at all. Like it's actually pretty stale now. Like it's really not doing much. So actually, more than anything, he actually needs a really good quarterback to make it work because it's not doing anything on its own. It's not putting anyone in a position to succeed. And they've sort of just punted on quarterback year after year after year. And like, this is not a Lamar Jackson tweet, okay? Like, Lamar Jackson was never available. They couldn't get him this year. But like, the thing with this team is that they decided in 2021 that they didn't need to take a quarterback. And then they got rid of Matt Ryan because they had decided to go have a dalliance with Deshaun fucking Watson. And then now they go into year 3 with a 3rd-round rookie who I liked, but I think even the most positive people on Desmond Ridder were like, well, this is a big gamble. The gamble didn't work. And then your backup guy to that, Taylor Heineke, is just a completely mid quarterback. So now you've hitched yourself in what's looking like like a playoffs or bust year, or at least should have been a playoffs or bust sort of year with like bad quarterback play. And all of these weapons and all of these picks that you've spent to make this special offense look like dog shit because you don't have a quarterback. So, and now you're learning the lesson that every other team in the NFL knows, which is, guess what? You can't win without a quarterback in the NFL. You can win with a decent quarterback. You can win with a really good quarterback, but you can't win with below average quarterback play in the NFL. You just can't. And like Arthur Smith's offense looked like doo-doo with Marcus Mariota in it in Tennessee. Guess what? When they got Tannehill, who played like a top 10 quarterback, the offense looked great. And that's the thing. Like, more than anything, what matters is the quarterback. A quarterback can make a bad scheme look good. It can make a good scheme look amazing. You know, Kyle Shanahan, Matt Ryan, perfect example. But
and I want to say one thing, and you know, I think I'm over talking right now without giving Alan a chance to speak.
Yeah, Alan. Alan, hi guys, Alan's here. Hello, Alan.
But I just want to say one thing just while it's on the topic. Doesn't that shit reek of arrogance? You know, my scheme is so good. I don't even need a quarterback. You know, it's the year 2023. We have, you know, it is the most important position in the NFL, in all of sports. We see what a quarterback can do for your franchise, but no, Arthur Smith is going to come in and he is going to outsmart every single defensive coordinator in the NFL because he is, you know, the biggest super genius in the NFL that he doesn't even need a fucking quarterback. He can get it done with Marcus Mariota, even though he didn't get it done with a younger Marcus Mariota in Tennessee, and he had to bench Marcus Mariota before that offense even took off back in Tennessee. And then, you know what? He's just going to get it done with a third-round quarterback. Doesn't that shit just reek of air? Like, it's so off-putting. It just, like, it sort of makes me disgusted, like, genuinely. Because I think you're completely right, Kevin. Like, I think he absolutely came into this and he's like, we don't need a quarterback to win. It's 2020. It's the 2020s. I'm too smart for this, and I'm smart enough to where I'm going to make the most important position that we have ever seen in all of sports just a non-factor. And you know what? You can throw anyone in there, and we're going to win because I'm that smart. Like, and it hasn't worked. And that's the thing. Like, you know, you're 4-6 for the third straight year, but I digress. That's all I wanted to say about that.
No. I mean, it's like, man, I'm trying to remember what the line was from Step Brothers. If you guys remember, it was like, you know, when the two guys, you know, John C. Reilly, and they go to like interview for the job, and they go meet Seth Rogen, and it's like, you know, like it's all going well and everything, and at first they're making this good impression, and then he's like, they like, you know, rip like a huge fart back there, and it just makes the whole room gross, and it like ruins the interview. And he's like, you know, actually now that I'm looking at you guys are pretty fucked up. You know, it's like, that's how I feel with Arthur Smith. It's like, first appearances are all good, everything's working fine, it's sort of a chill vibe, and then just like, actually now that I'm looking at this is pretty fucked up. Yeah, this is gross. So that's how I feel about this coaching staff at this stage. But like, are they going to do anything this week? Probably not, guys. Like, I mean, I don't think they will, but this is exactly what a team looks like when the team is starting to disintegrate. Like, this is exactly what it looks like. We've seen this show enough times to know this is what it looks like when the wheels are falling off. So it's not to say that it can't ever be fixed or that there's no chance for a comeback, but like, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. So, you know, we'll see, but ultimately, you know, you're going into year 4 and you still don't have an answer at quarterback. And like, I feel like you don't give him a chance to get a new answer at quarterback. Like you said, you chose not to for 3 years. And like, it would have been hard to get a good quarterback in here. Like, don't get me wrong, but that's how it goes in the NFL. Like the Jets just traded like the farm for Aaron Rodgers, who was 40 years old, to come and give them a chance at a Super Bowl. Obviously it didn't work out because he tore his Achilles, but like, they had to go big, because guess what? That's what you have to do in the NFL to get a quarterback. You can't just luck into drafting your franchise savior at number 2 all the time, right? See, the Falcons have done that one time in their history. It wasn't going to happen again. I mean, maybe they could have had a shot at somebody here or there, but man, it's not looking good, man. It's rough out here on these Falcon streets, and I don't blame anyone for being fed up with this team. It's a tough watch. The defense is regressing big time. I mean, there was no way they weren't after losing Grady Jarrett, but like with Grady Jarrett, and I hope Onyemata's back, because it's real bad up front without him. And yeah, I mean, I guess we should talk about who's starting after the bye too at quarterback. But we got a bunch of donations here. Thanks, guys, as always. So let's get to a couple of these. We've got Michael Scott with the $5. Thanks, Michael. He says, officially starting a GoFundMe to mail Arthur Smith out of Atlanta via FedEx overnight shipping. Yeah, that would probably be an expensive package, but I don't know. I think you could probably scrape up the funds for that, Michael. We got Corey Handelsman with the $5. Thanks, Corey. Says, has the QB rollout play ever worked? You cut half the field off of the defense, diagnoses it right away. Hate that 2-point conversion call. Yeah, I mean,
spread it right into it.
Yeah, I didn't love it.
About 2017 against the Eagles, right there.
Yeah, didn't love it. Didn't love it, Corey, certainly. But I mean, it does sometimes work. But it's like the problem with it is there's no second read. So it's like, well, if it doesn't work, you either got to outrun the defense to the pylon, which because of the nature of the rollout is very difficult to do, or you have to get that ball to somebody. And there's a very high chance of failure. It's kind of a high variance play. So I just don't love it.
Kind of like the goal line fade at this point, where it's like, if it works, awesome. If not, you're going to get heat for it, because they did a sprint left against the Packers at the end of the first half, and it worked.
Yeah,
they used London mostly because London had great positioning. So it's just a play where you got to hit it quick, and the receiver has to be in good position. Of course, he also has to be in the end zone because London was in good position, but he was at the 1 yard line, so that doesn't necessarily work for a 2-point conversion. So, yeah, I hate the play call, but when it works, it's kind of like the goal line fade. All right, cool.
Yeah. We got. Yeah, I agree. It's like we have to do better, like especially with the quarterback situation the way it is. Like this is why we hired Arthur Smith. It's like, okay, maybe you can elevate this situation with your play calling, and it's actually been the opposite. It's like, oh wow, you're making it worse. You're making it worse.
Outside the zone read, we got to give credit to the zone read. The zone read has almost every
zone read
time.
is undefeated. What's up, Jordan? How you doing, man?
Why do you always ask me this question when you know how I'm feeling?
I know. Well, it's been like 30 minutes. Yeah, it is my job. I'm contractually obligated to check in.
I know.
But yeah, it was a rough one, Jordan. It was a rough one.
You know, it's one of those things where on all three phases, I know everyone loves to talk about complementary football, right? That means, good offense with good defense, good special teams. Well, we did play good complementary football today. We had bad offense at times. We had bad defense at times. And we even had a bad punt coverage. So we were still complimentary. So there's that, if there's something to look forward to.
Bad punting, too.
That was
you're right.
That was an uncharacteristic bad punt from Bradley Pinion for sure. You could tell after he kicked it, he was like, "Ooh, that was ugly." He didn't even look. He just turned around and walked off the field. He's like, "Ooh, I don't want to see that one." Yeah. But man, yeah, rough game. I know you got some takes, Jordan. I'm gonna read a couple of donations here, and then I'll let you unleash the fury because I know you got some fury to unleash here. Probably some things that we've already said, but I think it's always good to get a fresh perspective on it. We got George Costanza with the double 2-pack of donations here. We got, here's the way I see it. Arthur Smith built this beautiful sports car. It's got that nice spoiler, that sexy paint job, all the doors and curves, sleek and edgy. Then he went and put a lawnmower engine in it and wonders why it won't get out of the driveway. Yeah, I mean, that's what it looks like. It looks real pretty on the outside, right? And then it just the wheels fall off when you take it out the door.
It's like that meme. It's like that meme with the busted up house, and is it like a Ferrari, which is right there.
Yeah, the guy with the bike, he's trying to gas it up. It's just like a regular bike. He's trying to put gas. Yeah. But yeah, it's bad. And then his other one, he says, "Okay, it's officially time for draft takes." Yep. Much earlier than I thought it would be this season. I was even hoping to make it to the first week of December, but as the philosopher Jagger once said, you can't always get what you want. Yep. Nope, the draft is inevitable.
I still think the division is too shit for that right now. It'll be time for draft takes when this team loses to the Saints in a couple weeks.
There you go. That's the official nail in the coffin, because then you'll be 2 games down and lose your tiebreaker. But and then we got Nico with the $2. Thanks, Nico. He says, "Evening, guys. What's up? Is our shambolic tackling at crunch time a product of the defense Nielsen built or poor execution? Oh, and why can't Heineke pass to London? Infuriating." I have to think it's poor execution, because if guys are in the right place to make the tackle, that's good scheme, right? They're where they're supposed to be. They have an opportunity to make the play and they don't. That's an execution thing. Now, I don't know who's teaching the tackling. Typically, the defensive coordinator is not out there teaching tackling to players. So it's probably more like the safety coach or the linebackers coach or whoever is out there doing the tackling drills. But
it's whatever coach you had in middle school.
Yeah, exactly. We don't even do that anymore.
That's who teaches the tackling.
These guys are professionals. You shouldn't have to learn tackling in practice.
The thing is, they've been outstanding tackling until the Tennessee game. The last 3 games is just it's been a complete downfall. The Minnesota game in particular, but you saw Terrell and Richie Grant on that out route to Michael Wilson. Just like, how do you miss these?
Also, can we talk about Richie Grant for a second?
Yeah, he definitely deserves.
Hold on, I'm
some,
going to tune out my UCF legend. Hold on, I got to tune out. Yeah.
By the way, no Mike Hughes, if you realize that.
Yeah.
They're like, nope, can't do that after.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, like,
that was smart.
It just feels like Richie Grant in the worst possible time, and this has been a thing throughout his Falcons career. Feels like he just makes like a mistake in the worst possible times. Like I know that he's not out there as like he's not a terrible safety. He's not like the worst safety in the NFL, but man, there are just some moments where Richie Grant just like blows a coverage or misses a tackle, and you're like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
It's been like that since his rookie year.
Yeah. My UCF legends on the Falcons are not pulling their weight. That's for sure. It's not working.
I mean, I mean, I feel like I'm a broken record mentioning Creed Humphrey, but you know what? It was a high second-round pick. Arnold Ebiketie, another high second-round pick.
Yeah, this
high second-round
not
picks,
looking
man.
too good right now.
Yeah,
Like,
those second-rounders.
This is not going
we
super.
should have traded a second-rounder for a pass rusher.
That's what I'm saying.
We're-
Yeah, at least then you have
we're not
somebody.
doing anything with them either way.
Yeah. All right. Well, Jordan, I wanted to get your take too before we continue on with other stuff on this one, because it was very frustrating. We've definitely covered stuff, so just feel free to spin on whatever you want to focus on at this point.
No, I mean, I'll be pretty short and simple, because the main thing for me is I just have questions, right? Like, for example, on offense, why can't Heineke throw the ball to Drake London? Like, why was that a thing? Why was it that and this is one question I know we're not going to get the answer to until we can see all 22, because again, like I talked about during the game, CBS, for whatever reason, they don't like showing what's going on down the field whenever there's a sack or a pressure and you got to throw the ball away. So we just won't know until we see it. But why couldn't Heineke get rid of the ball sooner, when I thought that was supposed to be part of his calling card as to why people wanted him, starting over Desmond Ridder? Obviously everyone knows I'm not the biggest Arthur Smith fan, but I will give him this. We finally saw some more inside zone and downhill runs with Bijan Robinson, and it actually worked. Shocker. But I do want to, for as much criticism as I do give him, and don't get me wrong, I still have some for him in this game, I do want to say, like, finally you did that. Defensively, why is it that we can't keep rush lanes?
Yeah.
Why isn't that we cannot keep rushing? This is 2 weeks in a row where you have a mobile quarterback. Of course, this one even more mobile than Josh Dobbs maybe after that Saints game today. Maybe that's not fully the case. Who knows? But you just, like, that last first down, you have I think it was a 3rd and 10. You can get off the field here. And again, Ebiketie, if you just rush the upfield shoulder, which again, this is what coaches, especially I know for sure for high school, that's what they tell you to do, especially when you're rushing mobile quarterbacks. If you're that DN to keep contained, you have to rush the upfield shoulder. He stayed flat. Kyler spins around. There's nobody out there. You get the big gain. That's just a little thing. And the last question, why are we so afraid to take control of a game? I mean, in any kind of way, right? Obviously, the biggest one and the biggest situation that's happened the last couple of weeks is turnovers inside the 30-yard line. We had a turnover, I believe it was at the 24, a fumble. You had a chance to take a chokehold of that game early against Tennessee. You get a fumble, return it to the 1 against Minnesota. You actually go backwards. You get a field goal. Now this week, you get another turnover. I believe we had it at the 14 after the Nate Landman pick.
Yep.
You go backwards on that drive. So it's just, why is this team so anemic and so afraid of just when they have these opportunities to really take a game over, put control over it, they just don't want to seize them.
Yeah. Well, and it's like that,
it's
and like
a bad football team too.
Yeah. I think that's part of it. Yeah.
Like, good football teams, like, you cannot make mistakes against good football teams and expect to come out of it alive. Like, you see a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, and I know this team is not on the level of the Philadelphia Eagles, but this is just something that I've noticed throughout the entire season with a team like the Eagles, where they'll get the ball like up by 3 points or by a possession, and they're just gonna it's not even a mistake. They're gonna fucking cook you for the next 6 minutes. They're gonna keep the ball away from you for the next 6-7 minutes, and there's nothing you're gonna be able to do about it. Like, these good, if you want to do anything in the NFL, you have to capitalize on mistakes. And this is a team that doesn't get many takeaways. Like in general, like this team doesn't get that many opportunities, and you're being gifted these opportunities these past 3 weeks, like you just mentioned, Jordan, and the offense just goes out there and just doesn't know what the fuck to do with it. Just go out there and punch it in. Go out there, like, I don't know, they're so fucking scared. It feels like they're so scared to make a mistake that they make one anyway.
That's what I think is so frustrating for me, is the standpoint of there's just no sense of aggression with this offense. And in the moments like that, to your point, right? Like, look, I learned this partially in high school, mostly in college. Off a turnover is the perfect time and the best time to take a shot down the field. Now, I get if you have the ball to 14, that's not necessarily, a shot situation, but you can try to draw something up and scheme something up, like, hey, let's try to get to the end zone right here, instead of, no, we do the just traditional hand it off. Oh, now it's 3rd and long. Let's try to throw something, and you can't get it. Like that. It's just so you can do that from the 14. You can do it from the 24. Now, yes, if you have the ball at the 1 yard line, I would hope you could be able to run the ball from there and score a touchdown. If you don't get a false start in your own home stadium before you even snap the ball once, but like I said, just once, I would like to see this team after a turnover go for it.
Yeah,
be aggressive. Just once.
Yeah. No, I mean that was one thing I was saying earlier, was like this team, and like this is, I know you were upset about the decision to go for it on that 4th down when they were in easy field goal range at that point. I'm upset about it because it ruined my prize pick, preview of that ad read coming up soon. But like, again, it's like this team needs to take the points. Like they can't pass up points, because this is the worst executing team of any team in the NFL. Like I firmly believe, like, they execute so poorly on offense that it's just mistake central. And like, people are like, oh, well, they scored 22 points in this game. That's like not a bad score for this team. They had so many penalties help them get points in this game. It is unbelievable. Like, they benefited from some bad calls. Like that DPI was a joke. That was a joke.
The passer was a joke.
Yeah.
The roughing the passer led to a touchdown.
Yes.
I think the DPI led to a touchdown.
Yeah, that was the Ritter's zone read. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like that. Those like shouldn't have been called. Those were not penalties. Like, so you're depending and that's why the passing was so low in this game too, is because like they just got free yards constantly. They weren't actually, I mean, they had like 1 or 2 actual drives in this game, and then the rest were just like gift wrapped touchdowns. Yeah. So like you're not even like moving the ball. Like,
the other point about scoring 23, the Cardinals aren't a good defense.
No, they're 31st. No. Yeah, they're 31st
at all. They're so bad they made Deshaun Watson look good. Like,
yeah,
come on.
I love this Roto World Football headline: Kyle Pitts rips off 30 receiving yards versus Cardinals. That's a strong stat line for Kyle Pitts this year. So
I do wonder, because look, we're gonna have to watch the all 22, but it's just it's starting to become more apparent. I just think this team needs a receiver that that could create separation, just get open in quick moments. Like, they just need like that 3rd down possession receiver. I thought Kyle Pitts was starting to carve his niche as that guy, and I still feel like partially, obviously, you don't want Kyle Pitts just being a possession receiver, but just a guy that that could get open like on 3rd, 6th, 3rd, 7, just convert. Like, it's just they have a weird mixture of receivers, running backs, and tight ends. Like, that's why maybe some of these plays there's just nobody open, and the Van Jefferson trade has just not worked. He's been
that's a disaster. Yeah, he's not offered any functional.
I thought maybe he could do something, but clearly not. Kadero Hodge is a non-factor. Sky Miller's only like situational player. Like, they just you need someone, and like that this falls back on Arthur Smith, because Arthur Smith probably looks at Tennessee. We had AJ Brown, Corey Davis. We were getting chunk plays every now and then, but not every that like every week you should say. But they never really had, like, Tennessee never really had that quick twitch, slot possession, whatever you want to call it, just a receiver that can move the sticks, and he brought that to Atlanta, and we need size. Calvin Ridley, he can't execute. And I know he had other matters, but one of the biggest frustrations of 2021 early on was like Calvin Ridley was just running these slants, and he was dropping passes and just going the wrong way at times because he was avoiding contact. Like, you got to evolve at some point. You need guys that can create separation. Especially if you're running these empty sets. Like, what's their empty set? Kyle Pitts, Jonnu Smith, Bijan, Drake London, and Van Jefferson or Kadero Hodge. Like, at some point there, you need a guy that could at least just operating a short area of the field.
Like,
I'm with
maybe
you
Bijan can be
100%.
there
Yeah.
eventually. Like, I think he eventually, but like, he's a
But
running
it's
back. He's
also
going to take
not fair.
time. Like,
It's also
yeah.
not fair to expect that from Bijan right now. He's a rookie as
too.
well.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
Drake London is fine. Like he is your throw it up guy, and he's gonna go up there. He's gonna make a play. He's that like Mike Evans type role. I think that's what that's the comparison you made, and it was a good comparison, Alan, earlier on. Even though Mike Evans had a really bad drop today, but he made up for it later on. But that drop, like look up Mike Evans' drop today in the end zone. That was it was really bad. He made up for it later on. But
oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say just that guy, like. That's sort of a Deontay Johnson type guy in Pittsburgh. So, someone you can put in the slot whose best ability is his route running. Someone who is going to run a polished route, and when it's 3rd down and 6, he's going to be open over the middle, or he's going to make it really difficult for their slot wide or their slot cornerback, or whoever's matched up on him over the middle, and whom you can look at as your safety valve. Like this team hasn't had that since what? Mohamed Sanu, maybe like a few years ago.
Yeah,
right. It's like I think one of the big issues I have with this scheme is that like I think when I put it all together, I was expecting Kyle Pitts to be the wide receiver 2 outside. Like essentially, that was what I was envisioning. And he's a slot receiver, but it's like this is the thing when you're going to play 12 all the time. Like if you're going to have 2 tight ends playing your slot role, you're not going to have the same separation ability in the middle there because you have 2 tight ends. Like tight ends not going to be able to have those quick double move routes, those quick slants, those things that those little slot receivers can do really well and create separation. The tight ends can't do that. They got to do different stuff. And so it's like, I was like, oh, well, they're going to play 12, but they're probably going to have Pitts more outside, and then they'll have like maybe, Jonnu on one side on the inside, and then they might still actually use a slot receiver while only having 2 true receivers out there or things like that. Like get a separator out there, for that other spot, like be creative. But instead it's like they've just made Pitts into a big slot receiver. And like I don't think giving Pitts a 2-way go is like that big a deal. Like have you seen Kyle Pitts? Like he's 6'6". Let him play outside for God's sake. Like he's built to play outside. He could live outside. He's going to dominate corners on the outside. Instead, you're making him play in traffic, making him play over the middle. Like, and he can do it sometimes. Like, it's not like he can't do it. But, like, how is that emphasizing Pitts' skills? He's a tight end. He's like a wide receiver in a tight end's body. Play him on the outside. Like, this is what we were waiting for. And instead, it's like, no, actually, we're just going to play him in the slot and make him do tight end things. He's not special there. Like like Jonnu Smith can do that. You don't need Kyle Pitts to do that. Like, I can't believe this is why we drafted Pitts, to just make him like any other tight end. Like that's not what he is.
I don't know off the top of my head what because PFF has like the formation rate of like how much percentage of the guys lining up in the slot, outside, inline tight end. I remember his first 2 years, he was maybe under 30% as the inline tight end. It feels like more than ever he's lining up as inline tight end, and that's frustrating because his rookie year, he was really on the outside. And you look at those games when they beat the Jets, the Dolphins, the Saints, all 3 games had huge performances, especially that Dolphins game. Like I remember, I forgot which corner he beat, but he made a play on just a go route that essentially won them the game. And just like, he's more than capable of doing this. He did this the rookie year when the supporting cast was just totally non-existent once Ridley had his personal issues. So I just don't know where it happened. And they found a bit of a groove. Like, let's not disregard. Like, I think from Houston, Washington, and Tampa game, he made an impact in all 3 of those games. Houston game in particular, where his usage was very high. The other 2 games, maybe not as much, but he had big moments. He essentially won the Tampa game on that final drive. So it's like they've had some stretches where it's like, okay, they're finally utilized properly, but it's not been sustainable. And it's just like, going back to that conversation about where you invest to get him, it's got to be sustainable, and it hasn't, and that's what's so frustrating.
And also, we justified not getting a legitimate wide receiver too, because we're like, all right, like, Kyle Pitts is going to line up outside. Like, obviously, like that's the play here. You brought in Jonnu Smith. He's going to get those tight end snaps. And we're like, it's okay. Like the depth behind Drake London at wide receivers may be the weakest in the NFL. Like, no disrespect to Matt Collins, Scotty Miller, Daryl Hodge, but that wide receiver core is not striking fear into anybody's hearts in the NFL. Defensive coordinators are not laying awake scheming for those guys. And we're like, all right, like Kyle Pitts is going to be our wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 1A with Drake London, and yeah, like you're not maximizing him. Like,
well, I'll tell you what, I can't wait to see whatever. I can't wait to see whatever wide receiver 2 y'all want to run a 7-yard stop route on 3rd and 6.
Hey, Jacoby Myers,
that's what it is. I mean, shoot, like I said, as y'all know, I live in the Bay Area, right? I watched Jawan Jennings get out routes. You can't sit here and tell me that you think Jawan Jennings is a better route runner than what Drake London is. But yet he has a whole lot more variety of what he gets to run in that offense. Like, I just want to see it. Like, if it's true that all these guys can do is run a stop route right at the sticks on a 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 7, or run a jump ball with Drake London, okay, that's fine. But guess what? At least until I see them get chances to prove to me otherwise, I'm not going to believe it.
It's the passing concepts are so stale, and like you can tell Arthur Smith, like, yeah, that'd be funny. It's secretly you take the mask off and no, but like yeah, like so many people have called this out, and you could tell how like pissy Arthur Smith is about it. But like, there's a reason everyone's calling out the passing concepts as being bad, like because they are, like, and he gets so upset about it. You can tell it's bothering him, and it's like. Man, like, I'm just saying, like, how big of a red flag, like, we kind of brushed it off at the time, but how big of a red flag was it that Charles London left for a lateral job with the Titans? Like, now looking back on that, I think that was a huge red flag. Charles London wanted out of Atlanta going into this year. He left for the Titans to take a lateral move. Some people thought he was going to be their offensive coordinator. No, he went to be their quarterback's coach. And like, I think looking back at that thing now in this context, it's like, wow, he got off this sinking ship.
He escaped.
Yeah. And I wonder if it was like, wow, they're not listening to anything I have to say. I want to, I'm the quarterback's coach. I want us to go out and get a different quarterback, or I don't like the direction of this. Like, or I want to get some new concepts in here for the passing game. And they were like, no, we think ours are good enough. I mean, why else is he leaving? Because like, he came in and apparently like they gave him a chance to be a quarterback's coach. He'd never done that before. He was a running backs coach. Like, they gave him a shot. They like did all this stuff, and he chooses to leave for a lateral move, and Falcons let him go. Like, it's like, I'm just saying, like, what are the implications of that? Now, obviously this is all speculation, but like, the implications of that are very bad, I think, for this coaching staff, that he wanted out and he didn't want to work with this quarterback room. So, I mean, do with that whatever you will. But
it's really bad semantics for a coaching staff and for a coach that has specialized in bad semantics all year.
Yeah.
He got booed on the Pat McAfee show this past Friday.
That was hilarious. Yeah. I mean, we knew it was going to happen when it goes to that particular spot. I mean, they were asking for it. So,
yeah. And I mean, look, and like, we finally got what we wanted with Bijan Robinson. He got 22 carries this week. He got 23 total touches.
What a surprise! What a surprise!
Who knew? He had over 100 yards from scrimmage.
Give him a red zone carry. Can you believe it?
Yeah,
got one red zone carry and scored.
It's almost like everything that we've been, saying about Bijan Robinson, about how he needs to be more of a focal point. It's like all of it worked out. And I mean, I get it. Arizona is a bad running defense, but that was all the more reason to utilize him.
They're worse at defending the pass. They are much worse. I believe they're 28th in net yards per attempt, and they were like 21st in yards per carry. So like, they're a bad run defense, but they're a worse pass defense. And so like, that's another thing, is like, he could hang his hat on the run game always. Like, the last 2 years, it was like, wow, he turned our run game around. Great job. Like, he coached up this offensive line. He can't hang his hat on that anymore. This is a very mediocre run game that now Bijan is basically bailing out because he has to make magic happen because people are getting blown up. Like, this offensive line is like the worst, like, play to your opponent offensive line I've ever seen. Like, if they play a bad defensive line, they get their asses kicked. They play a good defensive line, they actually play really well. It's hilarious, but it's like happening every single week.
I want to ask Jordan, did anything stand out when it came to offensive line play? Did anyone really struggle, or was it hard to see from watching live?
I mean, from what I've seen so far, I mean, it was just another game where everyone kind of had moments here or there. But I would say the lack of, again, easy answers for the quarterback once again hurt us. Like, I think when you watch, like, for example, when Arizona would spread out 5 wide, what do they do? Hit McBride with a slant over the middle of the field, right? That ball's out quick. So even if we had a good pass rush, we're not getting there. because the ball's out. It's hot. So that was one of the things for me that I noticed. There were a couple of times where, I think BJ Ojulari came inside on a stunt, and actually he did a pretty good job with it at first. It's the fact that Jake Matthews whiffed. So once Heineke held the ball, stepped up, that's when Ojulari came off of Bergeron and made a play. I don't like the idea of pulling him all the way across the tight end help. And then I'll just go all the way outside. So it was, I wouldn't single out any one person in particular today. I think there was just, like I said, overall, just a weird game, where
it's too many of those. That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
These are becoming the normal games, the ones where they actually are consistent. Those are the weird ones now. Yeah. So, oof.
It's just there's so much high expectations for this offensive line. You watch and it's just like there's just too many mistakes, and just like what more can you? And also, let's be mentioning, I think the tight end blocking has been very mediocre.
That's a big problem.
Yes, that Kyle Pitts. I know we don't expect much out of him, but when he's asked to do it, I think Kyle Pitts has done pretty poorly. And
that's why you have him.
Yeah.
So
you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, like obviously let's get this straight, because I know people have talked about this and they're trying to reach out to us online. Like, we get it. We're not trying to sit here and say Kyle Pitts is a great blocker. We know he is not. But guess what? When we drafted him, we knew he was not. So that's what. But again,
because
that's
why
the
would
point
he be?
of what I'm saying. Well, again, that's my point of putting certain players in certain positions to be successful. Right? Like, that's a reason why you look at almost all the teams out there in the league outside of a select few, they have a blocking tight end. Because usually their number one guy, especially if you're like a receiver type, just like Kyle Pitts is, or maybe a Darren Waller guy, or sometimes even Kelsey. There's a reason why you need someone else out there. It's like, you ain't going to cut it. We need somebody else out there that can make things happen. Now, would I like to see Kyle Pitts be better just one-on-one, like at some point? Like Shannon Sharp said this a few years ago, because again, he's another receiving tight end, smaller guy. He did say, like, at a certain point though, I like, my pride had to kick in. I'm just not going to let someone line up and just beat me every single play I'm blocking, right? Like, my pride's got to kick in a little bit. So at some point, yes, I would like to see Kyle, like, dude, even if you just position block, right? Like, learn how to get your hips a certain way so you flip the angle, and someone, whether they have to cut outside or inside, they can do it. But at least until we see him capable of doing that or wanting to do it, you got to stop making him your point of attack blocker.
Yeah.
Like, the two things can be true in that situation.
Yeah,
Exactly. Feels like the team hasn't really replaced Lee Smith since his retirement in 2021.
Well, Parker Hesse kind of was, but he's on IR, so that's a big problem too. Yeah.
They were really good last year.
Well, yeah, Parker Hesse has been really good, but like, again, he's on IR, so like, and they also like strangely cut him at the beginning of the season, like with some weird shenanigans they were trying to play. But like, yeah, so they lost Parker Hesse, and like the tight end blocking has not been good. Like, Michael Pruitt has regressed as a blocker a lot. Jonnu Smith, strangely, has actually pass blocked very well. Like, he's chipped really well, but he sucks at run blocking. And Kyle Pitts, like, I swear to God, put Kyle Pitts outside. Please. Let him block corners. That man will demolish corners. I guarantee you Kyle Pitts can block a corner, okay? Like, stop making him block edge rushers. Like, he's playing more snaps in line than anywhere. Like, stop asking Kyle Pitts to block edge rushers. Like, that's not a good idea.
I don't know. Like, this is, again, mere speculation on my end, but just from following a lot of basketball and, seeing a lot of centers throughout NBA history and throughout a lot of basketball scenarios, where when they don't get their touches inside, some of them, are a bit lazier when it comes to, all right, I'm gonna go screen. I'm not gonna lay down as good of a screen as I will, because I'm not as happy, I'm not as motivated, because I know I'm not gonna get a touch on the inside layer. Maybe that could be something with Kyle Pitts, where he's not getting the ball enough to the point where you're not as motivated to now lay down a block as you probably would have been. But I don't even know what to say there, because like, you do need to do your job and block, and you have to fulfill your role on every single play. But at the same time, like, he's not getting the ball enough. Like, you're not scheming him up enough. Like, he did not come here, to be that blocking tight end. But I feel like he would be more motivated and he would be a bit better at it if you did go his way a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he's here to be a top receiving threat, and you're making him block in line in the red zone like every play. It's like I'm not calling his effort into question. Like I'm saying he's just deflated. Like as a player, he's like, wow, I can't believe this is what I am in year 3 of my NFL career. I'm like a bit player from top 4 pick to like the team doesn't even want to use me. Like, of course he's frustrated. Like, of course he is. Anyone would be. And like, yeah, he's probably not throwing his body into every single block like a madman like he would be if he was being like properly utilized. But like, I don't think it's like a lack of effort thing. It's like a frustration thing. It's like a natural thing that shit happens.
I mean, it could be a mix, but I'd ask you this. When's the last time that we've seen, let's say we're in the goal line, whatever situation, we run out there, 12 personnel, 13 personnel, Kyle Pitts goes out wide. Who do you think's covering him? Do you think it's a corner? Because if it is, here's where I'm going with this. If you want to cover him with a corner, even if he runs a slant, let him do it. That's a touchdown. That's what we did against San Francisco last year, right by the red zone. Mm-hmm. It works. Or if you want to put a bigger body out there, whether it's your box safety or even a linebacker, if you're dumb enough to do that, still a mismatch, but also you might have a lighter box. So now if you do want to run the ball, it's easier. So my thing is, it's not even the fact of how you're using him, mm-hmm. It's how you're using him, but also the positions where he's aligning while you're not using him.
Yeah.
That's exactly the thing for me that makes it even more frustrating.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll get into this on Trench Talk coming out on Tuesdays, guys. That it's like Arthur Smith likes to talk all this talk about like, oh, well, if we're not targeting a player, he can have an effect away from the play. Yeah, I agree. Kyle Pitts can have a huge effect away from the play. Line him up outside and force the defense to decide if they're going to single him up, like with exactly what you said, a corner, a safety, a linebacker, or if they want to even put safety help over there. Because guess what? Kyle Pitts one-on-one with someone in the red zone is terrifying. It should be terrifying. And instead, you're putting him in line in the trash where like he's going to have to work through all this stuff to maybe get open. And he's not going to be a plus as an inline blocker. I'm sorry. Like, that's just not his game. Like, I think he's gotten to the point where he's, like, not necessarily a negative, but he's not springing anybody open. Like, he's just sort of a wash there. And it's like, why isn't he playing outside, like, singled up somewhere? Like, why isn't he, like, he and Drake London on every, like, rushing play, we should not see this fully condensed formation because, like, come on, this is the modern NFL. Like, we should be done with this shit. Like, that, you're not good enough to do that. Like, I'm sorry, your offensive line, your blocking's not good enough that you can just line up in a condensed heavy set and just punch it in. It's also, like, stupid. Like, you're just telegraphing exactly what you're going to do to the defense. It's just not necessary. Why don't you have Drake London on one side, Kyle Pitts on the other, have him singled up, there you go. Like, they're probably going to want to put safety help
out of the box.
Yeah, they're probably going to put safety help on one of those guys, or at least shade someone that direction. So now you've made everything easier with two. Like Drake London can block, that's fine, but like Kyle Pitts, he's not a plus as a blocker. He should be out there taking the attention of the defense or catching passes, for God's sake. I mean, I guess that's too much to ask probably, but like if he's singled up, you should be throwing passes to him. So it's like we're not following through on what this defense, like this offense should be. Like it shouldn't be, let's like do a condensed set with Kyle Pitts blocking some key at like blocking an edge rusher. Kyle Pitts has to block Danielle Hunter or the run play gets blown up. Like, yeah, I can tell you how that's going to end. Like that's, you're just setting yourself up to fail. Like when you do shit like that. And it's, I have to think it's like scheme stubbornness. Like, no, we're going to play it this way. We're going to run this set. We're not going to spread it out.
Ego. It goes back to the ego.
Maybe it is. And it's like, these guys should be out there at least, like, even like we saw with Julio sometimes. Like, Julio would always be out there by himself, and he's like, defense, are you going to put Julio one-on-one with someone, or are you going to put a safety over there and try to double him? Because Julio was that good. And I think, like, Kyle Pitts could, I don't know that he's going to be Julio Jones, but he could demand a level of attention at least somewhat like that. And instead, it's, why are we playing him so much in line? Yeah. Like, I mean, and it's like, I get playing him in line a lot as a rookie, like, because it's like he's used to playing in line as a tight end. Like, it's normal. But, like, he should have been playing more and more outside. And instead, it's the opposite. He's playing less and less outside as his career goes on. And I think it's hurting him. Like, this is not a player that needs a two-way go to find success. This is a player that is an expert at making contested catches, at going up and getting the ball. Like, let him use the sideline to his advantage. Like, let him play out there. Let him, like, make teams decide if they're going to single him up against corners when he's playing on the outside. Like, putting him in the box, it's too easy. Like, they can vice him with like with a safety and a linebacker and cover him. Like, when you're playing him in line like that, you're making it super easy for the defense to control him. If you put him out wide, you're actually presenting a difficult scenario for the defense, which seems like it's a complete mystery to Arthur Smith. Like, instead he's got Bijan Robinson running out wide to, like, you know, going up against a cornerback. And it's like, well, maybe someday Bijan can do that, but right now that's not a recipe for success either. So it's really frustrating to watch this offense and see how they're misusing all of these players, because, like, it's not that complicated to get these guys on the field and put them in positions where they can make plays. It's really not that complicated. But it feels like it is. It's like he's got too many toys now. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
I'll just say I'll add to that, because I know we're talking about, you know, wide receiver too. You better draft one, because right now this is how free agency works, right? You know, obviously we heard this from guys like Calais coming into this year. I like what they're building. I like what the overall or end product is supposed to look like in Atlanta. Right, he talked about that. You know, Jesse did. Of course, Jesse's contract that helped a lot too with him wanting to be in Atlanta. But right now, like, just be honest. If you were a receiver and you were looking at this offense, and I'm not even saying the actual production, I'm saying certain concepts and schemes. As a free agent, would you want to come to Atlanta?
Hell
Fuck no. What?
Hell
Absolutely not.
But see that. But I'm saying that this is the hole that we're in right now. Like, obviously, I knew that was the answer. But I'm saying that of, like, hey, let's, like, as nice as it sounds, like everyone's saying, hey, we need a wide receiver too. We need a guy that looks like this, a guy that looks like that. I agree with you, first off, and I agree with anybody in the comments saying it too. But again, like I said, I'm also looking at it from that angle of, okay, well, if I was that receiver, why would I pick here?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, but it's like exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying.
I'm going to LA. Shit.
Yeah, and it's
I'm
like
going to play with Justin Herbert.
Right, and if you find yourself in that situation where players don't want to sign with you because you're known for misusing players, like, I mean, it's just like that's a fireable offense. Get your coach out of here. Why the hell would you keep this guy if players don't want to come here? And, like, we weren't there yet last year, but we're there now. Like, Scotty Miller's probably pissed off. Van Jefferson's probably really not happy with how things are going, and he has no one to blame but himself, more than likely. But, you know,
Matt Collins.
Back Hollins is barely being utilized. Like, they're not using anyone well, except maybe Drake. Like, Drake is the one guy maybe that they're using somewhat consistently, but even he's super unreliable because the quarterback situation's so fucked up. So, like, I'm sorry, but, like, I don't see any road where I'm coming to the end of this season unless there's a miraculous turnaround in the next, 7 games or whatever they have to play now. Unless there's a miraculous turnaround, I'm done with Arthur Smith. Like, because you can't convince me that this guy deserves another shot in Atlanta. Like, I'm sorry. It's been 3 years. Your offense has gotten worse every single year. Like,
you are at 4-6 again. You
with a better team
in 2021. You were at 4-6 in 2022. You made the investments. You have a better roster. You can't use the roster as the excuse. You had the easiest strength of schedule coming into this game before facing this 1-18. And you are at 4-6 for the third straight season. Like, you are taking steps back. You are regressing right now. And that's completely unacceptable. Year 3 of a 3-year plan, and you look inept right now in comparison to before.
Yeah, it is. Man, it is just gross watching this offense right now. And it's just so disappointing seeing the way that this team has come in this year. So before we sign off, because I know we've got a lot of donations, and I appreciate everyone for doing that. Let me get to these, and then I'll check in on my prize picks, which Arthur Smith ruined by going for it on that 4th down. I was that close, thanks. And somehow Taylor Heineke getting hurt actually helped my prize picks, but I also blame Arthur Smith for that too, because he had 30 yards at halftime, so I blame Arthur Smith for that. But all right, I got an ad read from George Costanza apparently. I'm supposed to do a Billy Mays voice. I don't know if I can. I haven't heard Billy Mays commercials in like a minute, but I'm gonna do my best here, George. Okay. Hey, Kevin here. You unhappy with your Sunday Falcons experience? Grab yourself an Angry Balls. Just add a shot of Fireball to a Red's Apple Ale and improve your Sunday Falcons experience. The official drink of Falcons Sunday. There you go. I haven't heard Billy Mays' voice in like at least a month, so that's off the cuff. That's off the cuff, George. I tried to bring Billy Mays' energy at least to the read there, but all right, we got Marcus Maynard says Arthur Smith seems like he'd be mad at a fart joke. Yeah, he seems in a bad mood. I wonder why. Yeah. I mean, if I was a head coach on a 3-game losing streak, I'd probably be pretty sour too. So don't really blame him for being pissed off, but yeah, it certainly doesn't help him be more likable. Eric D, the $5. Thanks, Eric. He says, why does it feel like Smith has 2 playbooks, completely changed play calls as soon as Ritter came in? I mean, I don't know that. I didn't feel like it changed that much. I don't know. I mean, maybe it did more than I thought, but it seemed like they got a little bit more desperate when Ritter came in. And at first, they just started running the ball a bunch, and then it just seems like Ritter. Like, I will give this to Ritter. Like, he rips the ball in that intermediate area. Like, that's one thing I've always loved about Ritter is like those intermediate throws. He just rips the shit out of those balls. Like, they fly off his hand and they look great. And sometimes they get picked off. But when they don't, they look amazing. And then Tyler Heineke, like, he's willing to go downfield a lot, but he doesn't have the same zip on, like, his arm is not as good as Ritter's. So, like, you could tell, like, it doesn't quite get there sometimes. Like, the balls die sometimes. Like, and you're seeing why Tyler Heineke's not an NFL starter is because he just doesn't have great traits. Like, I love the moxie. He's clearly got good feel for the pocket most of the time. I like that he could scramble and all that, but like he doesn't have the elite traits. He doesn't have the size, doesn't have the athleticism, doesn't have the arm. That's why he's not an NFL starter. And he has propensity for throwing picks. That's the other part.
He did slide today, which was encouraging.
That was nice. And then he didn't slide.
But then he dove and hurt his hamstring.
But to be fair,
he does not give a fuck about his body.
I could kind of.
He wasn't close.
He wasn't close. That was the problem.
He does not care
close.
about his body.
Like
at all.
You remember the Bills-Jets game in Week 1? Josh Allen trying to hurdle 2 defenders when he was like 8 yards from the first down marker.
Look, it's very stupid, but it's kind of endearing. Like he's out there just like YOLOing it.
He's Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah, he's a wild man.
So you remember how everybody has been saying like, "Hey, Ritter put the ball in his left hand when he's running up the left sideline. He learned from his mistake in the Tampa Bay game." Right?
Oh, I'm sure he
Taylor Heineke almost fumbled the ball. He was lucky they rolled him down, but he almost fumbled the ball doing the same thing, not close to a first down against Minnesota. He did it again this week, and he gets hurt doing it. So if we're going to talk about one quarterback not learning from mistakes and not learning from certain things, I want to see the other one too. He didn't do it. He got hurt because he did it.
Yep. That's a rough one. Yep. All right, we got George with the $2.
You got a quarterback.
Oh God! Would Taylor Heineke have slipped on that 4th and 1? That's the big question. But we got $2.
No, he would have dove head first.
Yes, he would have got that first down, and he probably would have been concussed. So it's probably better that he didn't. So
I will
George...
say I did like the call on the Ritter touchdown. I do like making Ritter a threat. Yeah, I always like making Ritter a threat with his legs and giving the defense an extra player to sort of have to take note of regarding like being a ball carrier. So that was a very good play, and unfortunately the offense never saw the ball again.
Yeah, no, it's brutal there, but yeah, I agree with you there. It's gonna be really that play's gonna look great when Jaden Daniels is running it next year for the Falcons. So
or Drake May.
Well, I mean, I guess if they keep losing, maybe we can have the Drake May conversation. At this point, I still don't think that's in the cards.
Also, I do want to say it did sort of make me laugh at the very end when I think was it Jesse Bates who was trying to push James Conner into the end zone. That was a very high IQ heads up play there. I like that. We all recall the Todd Gurley touchdown against the Lions in 2020 where he accidentally scored. But yeah, that was a very heads up play. So at least that made me laugh a little bit in the midst of my depression.
Yeah. Oof. Love it. All right, we got George with the $2 says, I'm willing to take up a collection plate and pass it around to all the Falcons fans for just a simple $20 donation from everyone. We can get Eric Bieniemy in the door. Yes, it would be the largest contract in history, but that's what it's going to take. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't waste your time on Bieniemy. He's going to be Washington's next head coach. And like, I would love to have Bieniemy. You know that we're a very pro Bieniemy show on this podcast. Like we have been for years. But he's going to be Washington's next head coach. They're not letting him out of the building.
Like a few years ago. I think he was like our number one guy who we wanted to hire.
Yes. They just didn't.
After Dan Quinn, and they gave him one interview. They didn't bring him back for a second one.
Yep.
But hey, who knows? Maybe we get Ben Johnson.
Yeah, Ben Johnson's probably what you're probably hoping that the Chargers are stupid enough to keep Brandon Staley. And if they do that, the Falcons have a really good chance to hire Ben Johnson. But if they don't, if the Chargers actually do fire Brandon Staley, then he's probably going to the Chargers. So,
sign me up for Bobby Slowick.
I mean, I'm down. Like, I anything else
up.
at this point, honestly. But that's not a good strategy. But yeah,
maybe Jim Harbaugh. Shit.
Yeah, if you want more of that executive type of guy. But oof.
I know everyone wants to go offense, but Mike McDaniel. Mike. Is it McDonald or McDaniel? I should really know his name since I'm freaking promoting him right now. The Ravens DC. It's Mike McDonald, correct?
Yeah, he's been doing good.
I think you're thinking of Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins head coach right now.
No, that's I don't know. I'm sorry. I got runny nose, folks. You know, Brian Flores, free Brian Flores, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Say that, or
Brian Flores,
it is Mike McDonald, the
Mike
Ravens.
McDonald,
you were correct. Yeah.
We could also do a reunion with Jesse Bates. Get Lou Ariomo in here.
Oh,
I love Lou. Big Lou.
Staten Island, very problematic place in New York, but you know what?
This is where we've become. This is what we've become.
This is where we are. We're talking about the next head coach.
Week 10. 4-6. Arthur Smith deserves every bit of this conversation right now.
Big Lou.
Hey, you don't want us talking about the next fucking head coach? Win more than 4 games.
Beat the goddamn 1-8 Cardinals, for fuck's sake. Like, that's what you need to do to stop this. This was on you, okay? This is not our fault. We're just trying.
Team that has a QB for 5 days.
They're first in the NFC South if they win this game. That's how bad this division is. It's being gift wrapped to you.
God damn. Yeah.
For 2 years in a row, might I add you?
Yes, this is exactly the same.
Let's not act like this is just a this year thing where the division's gift wrapped. It was right there for you last year too.
Yeah, literally the same shit, different day. It's just literally the same thing. We got George with the $2 says, "Trust me, Kyle Pitts will be a transcendent talent on his next team. I'll bet money on it. But Pitts is legit." Leaving after his rookie contract, I promise. Yeah, I mean, the Falcons are going to have to do better next year to convince him to stick around. I mean, they're going to tag him because he's a tight end. So they're going to tag him, but yeah.
If Arthur Smith is here, I'm Kyle Pitts, I can't wait to get the fuck out.
Yeah, no, I mean Arthur Smith's I don't think he's going to be back in 2024 at this point. We still got a lot of football left to play, but we got Dylan Phillips with the $2 says, "Do you feel like it's more the system or the QB play?" It's both. The system's not doing the QBs any favors, and the QBs aren't doing the system really any favors either. It's both. But I'm not necessarily like blaming the system entirely. It's more like I think the real answer is the coaching is the problem, because the coaching decided that we wanted these quarterbacks and that we didn't need a high-level quarterback to execute the scheme, and the scheme is not very good. So it's like now you have bad quarterback and bad scheme equals bad offense, like really bad offense, and that's sort of where we are.
You mean we don't have a James Harden in here where he is the system instead of being a system player?
Yeah,
I am inevitable.
I know not everyone follows the NBA, but God, oh my God, if I'm a Clippers fan, I'm like, what the fuck are you saying right now?
I am the system. Sounds like the Matrix. It's like Mr. Anderson.
That's a wrestling promo.
They're 0-4 since they traded for him too, by the way.
I think 0-5 now.
0-5? Okay.
Yeah, he's everywhere James Harden goes, he just leaves a burning bridge like behind him. It's gotten very funny at this point, honestly.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got James MT95 at the $5. Thanks, James. He says, "Why does Ritter on the 4th down QB sneak flop always sabotage us at every available opportunity? I think I need therapy after that game." Yeah, we all need therapy. Guys, at this point, I suggest you emotionally detach from this team, because I don't think this is going anywhere. Like, legitimately, for your own sanity, like, detach. This is not a playoff team. If they make the playoffs, just, be happy that they did it. But, like, yeah, it's probably not. It's not going to happen.
If they somehow win this division, and it's a possibility, not because they're good, but because the rest of the division is so ass, and hopefully the Saints start Derek Carr. Hopefully Derek Carr is healthy in 2 weeks, because Jameis is going to pick this defense apart. Looking at what he did today, like, he almost made a comeback. He actually utilized Chris Olave. Chris Olave had 1 catch before Jameis came into the game. But
has Jameis started a game this year?
I don't think he started one. He's
gosh, it's fitting. It's fitting. He's going to start then. He's starting and he's beating.
It's perfect.
I think he started one. I think he started one because
that's right, because Carr was out that week.
Yeah.
We might have hope. We might have hope.
Like no, he came in relief in against Green.
I'm
I don't
very
know. Like
big in Green.
I do know Carr was hurt earlier in the season, but that's neither here nor there. If this team somehow lucks their way into the playoffs, and it will be by sheer luck,
Ugh.
like they're not doing shit. Like they're probably facing the Cowboys in the first round, or someone who's going to absolutely brutalize them. So don't get your hopes up. Like this team is not ready to win anything. Like if they're in the playoffs, it'll be by sheer dumb luck.
Yeah,
Plan something nice for the bye week. Just the bye week's coming. Plan something nice.
Yeah,
Good.
do
Take a
something
walk.
fun.
Yeah.
Disconnect, relax. Yeah, do something fun, guys. Don't like obsess about this team. I'm gonna write a mock draft, but that's probably the most I'm gonna do. Just take it easy. Because the mock draft, that's my catharsis. That's my therapy. I'm just gonna be like, fuck this team. Let's see what's gonna happen in 2024. But okay, we got a lot of donations.
I only show up still because y'all still pay me. That's the only reason why I'm still.
I'm just here so I don't get fined. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not even making a lot of money. Like,
yeah, no, it's just
we're
not
not
worth it
making
at this
anything,
point.
bro.
It is not worth it. Yeah.
It's not worth
Shout out
it
to the
at all.
donators, though. Shout out to the donations. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, it's not. It's this point. At this point, it's questionably worth it. That's for sure. But we got Noah C with the $5. Says Smith is the type of coach to lie on his resume and still get the job. Loved that 3rd and 10 run with Bijan. I'm like, bro. Well, to be fair, like Bijan is maybe the only running back that you would actually.
It worked. But
did.
Also, it's
yeah.
3rd and 9, and you're running the ball. Like I mean, in
they were
fairness,
playing for the field goal, is what it was.
Two down territory.
Yeah, I assume it was
what I
two
fully
down
believe.
territory. I assume it was 2 down territory. I think that they wanted at least 5 yards there, but I mean, Bijan is Bijan. Excellent, got the first down. Great job, Bijan. Ben Johnson is going to love him next year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time. We got some Ben Johnson, things here. Grant Watson with the $5. Feel like the recent draft picks fit more of a spread/high flying offensive scheme, not the heavy set 12 personnel that Smith runs. # Ben Johnson 2024. There you go, Grant. We got Noah C with the $5. Guys, calm down about the QB situation. We have the GOAT, Kyle Pitts. That'll carry us. Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, if they would even throw it to him, that would be something. But unfortunately, no.
Man, I'm wondering, and I know fantasy football doesn't matter, # Arthur Smith, but man, can you imagine using like a 1st overall pick in a dynasty draft on Kyle Pitts a couple of years ago, and then this is what you've gotten so far? Like I would be livid.
Yeah. Oof. My dynasty team has Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta, and Cole Kmet at tight end, so I'm good. I'm good for the foreseeable future.
Oh, you're definitely good. Yeah.
Arthur Smith managing your team?
Yeah, I did that on purpose. I was like, I'm gonna get Travis Kelce, and then I'm gonna find a young tight end, and then I was like, yeah, I think I should take a shot on Sam Laporta, and then it's like, oh, now I have the tight end 1 and the tight end 3, so we're good.
Oh, and what do you know? Sam Laporta is a better dynasty asset than Kyle Pitts at this point.
Already, yeah, he's already had
Legit.
like way more targets than Kyle Pitts will probably have this entire year. So it's amazing how that works. Yeah, it's crazy. We got Greg saying, man, my Falcons are officially the missionary position of the NFL. Nothing changes. Thank you, Greg, for that image. I that's unspeakable. But yeah, thank you. So caring. The Falcons, so gentle. George says,
"Oh man,
oh, that's a bad one. I like that one. No, this only on the post-game show can we work that one in. But we got to put the E on this one now. But let's be real. The E was on here like 2 hours ago. George says, quote, Danny Glover and Angels in the outfield. You don't think as a team. You don't play as a team. You don't even lose as a team. I want everyone here at 9 a.m. tomorrow. We're going back to work on fundamentals. Speaking of Glover, is he available to coach? Well, I mean, maybe put out some feelers, you know. We got Kel with the 2. Why does this team find ways to lose? 1-8 team, and we find an L. Yeah, that's not great, obviously. All right, we got a few more to get through here before. Appreciate all the donations, guys. For
more?
Sure. Oh yeah, they're coming hot.
Mad.
They're coming hot and heavy.
Yeah,
we love it.
There's still over 400 of y'all in here. We've been going for how long?
Almost over an hour and a half. Yeah.
Oh, God damn, bro.
Yeah.
You lose track of time when it's.
You do when you're deep in the takes like this. Anything can happen. It's just like the draft parties. You get like 2 hours into day 3, and it just starts going wild in here. So
no, we get 2 hours into day 3, and I'm like, when is this going to end?
Is this going to end?
Yeah,
well, like on 15 if we don't stop that. I got a bad nose right now. I'm charging through right now.
We're just got to get through this. Okay.
I'm sniffling.
Yep. We got George Costanza with a couple more here. Is beating the Packers the biggest fool's gold moment of the year, or was it the Bucs game? It's like we were so hyped, we were hopeful, we were ready to kick ass, and now we're just wondering where the rails went because we went off them 3 weeks ago. I think the Bucs game was bigger fool's gold, personally.
I think it was Texans.
I'd say Houston. Yeah.
I really like that one.
Yeah, Houston was. It was like somehow the cleanest win, and they still turned the ball over like a shit ton of times. So it was like they turned the ball over twice, right? So
the thing is, that was Ritter's best game. Ritter literally didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, he also bailed out the problems. Yeah.
Speaking of Houston, C.J. Stroud may literally be the MVP right now.
Yeah.
Like as a
what a god, literal god. Yeah, I can't believe we beat that team. That's hilarious.
I remember. I knew he wasn't going to fall to 8, but I was like, please, like if there's some way for him to fall. Yeah, it wasn't happening. It was
we just put him out there to block. Don't worry.
Yeah, he'd be a tight end. Yeah, he's got that grit.
What do you think Carolina podcasts are doing right now?
Oh God! At least we don't have that. At least we don't have that.
It's a dark time right now over there.
Yeah, I mean, I could have told you that would happen when you put a tiny quarterback behind a terrible offensive line with no weapons, and I'm surprised the defense is so bad.
Terrified.
That's honestly.
I was also terrified that the Panthers were about to get him after that trade up. I did not want to see C.J. Stroud in the division. I genuinely thought that he would be the best quarterback in this class, and I mean, so far so good. He's a monster right now.
Yeah, he's been outstanding. We got George again with the 3. He says, just offer Eric Bieniemy a $25 million contract. It doesn't count against the salary cap. Just make him the highest paid coach in the league, and he'll jump ship from Washington. Please, Arthur Blank. I can't take much more of this. I don't know who they're going to get.
Now bid that.
Yeah, I mean, they got all that Amazon money now, right? Or whatever. Bezos is funding it or something. So whoever Josh Harris, I think it is, some rich person's behind that. So, but yeah,
former Falcons long snapper Josh Harris. He's doubling down as the owner of the Redskins.
Not that Josh Harris. Yeah, we need to get him back on here and tell jokes about that. Josh Harris, over there with the Chargers now. Shout out to Josh.
Yeah, friend of the show, Josh Harris.
Yeah.
Well, he actually came on just once. He needs to come on one more time.
Yeah, then he becomes officially friend of the show. But I do feel bad because right after that, I feel like he got cut. So that was I feel bad.
Always hurts.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's rude.
To be honest, man, if Dan Snyder was still the owner over there, they would have done something stupid.
Oh yeah, for sure. We got Corey Carter with the $2 says Arthur Smith is taking responsibility and accountability for all the variables. Yeah, it's a lot of variables we got to track, especially going into this bye week on a 3-game losing streak. So
a lot of math.
Stealing Jordan's lines.
Yeah,
you're stealing your lines, Jordan.
Yep.
I got no comment on variables this week.
No more variables. We're done with the variables.
I'm done.
Man, maybe we'll move on to algorithms.
He said he was going to shave the stash, and he still kept the stash. Hypocrite. Shave the stash. You said you were cleansing yourself. 3:45 in the morning.
Or maybe he tried to shave himself with a spoon. So even he messed up that decision there, where it's I'm shaving myself.
You need at least a spork.
Wrong equipment.
You got to get at least a spork. You can't get any traction whatsoever with a spoon. That's just.
I have rules around me to shave myself, and I use the wrong thing. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
He just does
maybe
the Joker thing.
Reasonable time. Don't do it 3:45 in the morning.
Yeah, sleep on that. Sleep on that one. That's not a good solution.
Publicly, no shame.
Maybe that's why we suck. Our coach isn't even getting any sleep.
Yeah, apparently he's up at 3:45 a.m. contemplating his mustache. Yeah. So,
how do you expect him to call a game when he's exhausted out there? Come on.
There you go. Yeah, those are the big questions. We got George with the $2 says Kyle Pitts will be the first player in history to request that his team not pick up his 5th-year option. He wants to hit free agency so he could get the hell out of here. Arthur Smith has ruined him. He will go to a contender and be an absolute game-changing monster. I hope that he'll just get a new coach here and be that guy here because I actually think he still has that opportunity. We got Corey Carter with a 2-pack here. Corey says, hey guys, if you have Paramount Plus, I suggest streaming either Bass Reeves or a series called Lioness, especially at 1 p.m. on Sundays. And then he says, I want the hologram of Lombardi for 24. There you go. And then We got
It'll be an
Harry.
upgrade.
Yeah, that would be. We got Harry Hotep with the $1.99 donation. 2 seconds for Sean McVay, who says no. The Rams. The Rams aren't trading him. And then we got Ian McCluskey with the $5. Says, at least you can watch a real football team next weekend and them dogs.
I
gotta watch Stanford.
Georgia, and like it's every week it's gotta be something Georgia related.
Yeah, we
I
just
gotta
gotta
watch
we had to sneak that
Stanford.
in. Oh no!
Hey,
I'm so sorry.
the chat during our third down separator discussion was pushing Lad McConkey.
There you. I mean, I'm sure they were. Yeah. I mean, he just looks like a slot receiver, Adnan. I mean, just.
Oh, here we go.
Look at him.
He's deceptively quick.
Deceptive.
First guy in, last guy out.
Very
I think
hard
he actually.
worker.
I think there's a chance he actually runs a pretty good 40. Like I think we've seen him do some deep stuff, but I'm curious what the athletic testing will be on Lad McConkey. That's gonna be an interesting one. All right, let me real quick, guys, before we take off, let me bring you the prize picks, which Arthur Smith ruined, unfortunately, because we so this one was doomed from the start because I made the mistake of picking the over on Taylor Heineke passing yards. I was fooled by last week's game. So, we went more than Taylor Heineke passing yards. That obviously didn't happen. But because prize picks, if a player gets injured during the game, they will reset that pick. So it'll just revert down to the next level of picks. So since we picked 3, it would have gone to a 2. Rashad White crushed it. He got his 25.5 receiving yards on the first play that he had, which was a 43-yard touchdown pass. So great job, Rashad, right? The Bucs didn't let me down. But then Younghoe Koo had just the 1 field goal after the Falcons passed on kicking the field goal. On 4th and 1, and Ritter slipped. So, thank you guys. But we do appreciate, of course, Prize Picks for sponsoring the show. Thank you guys so much for that. In case you guys don't remember, if you're just joining us for the first time, Prize Picks is a skill-based daily fantasy game where you pick 2 to 6 players, decide if they will go more or less than their Prize Picks projection. The more players you pick, the more you can win, all the way up to 25 times your money on any entry. Prize Picks, you aren't competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections. Prize Picks also has a generous promotion schedule. Make sure you check in on Tuesdays and Fridays in particular, where they have some free play stuff, some promo stuff. Keep your eyes open for that. It's not just the NFL either. They've got college football. If you're tired of betting on the Falcons, you don't have to do that. You could pick any other team. You could pick NBA. You could pick NHL, college football, whatever you want. It's all there, and you can make the entries super fast in 60 seconds or less with fast withdrawals. Super easy. And guys, all first-time users that deposit and use our promo code DBB will receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. That means if you throw in 100, Prize Picks will match and throw you another 100. If you deposit 50, Prize Picks will give you 50. Just make sure to use that promo code if you sign up for the first time, DBB, to get that deposit match. It helps us out too, lets them know how you found it, how you found Prize Picks. And since it's daily fantasy, guys, it's available in 31 states, including Georgia. So it is available in Georgia, unlike a lot of fantasy games, a lot of sports betting stuff. So definitely check out Prize Picks. Thanks again to those guys for sponsoring today's show. All right, everyone. We've been on for an hour and 45 minutes. I'll go around the horn one more time in case you guys got any last takes. Adnan, he's at Say Which Way. Anything else you want to add put the cherry on top of this just disastrous Week 10 game?
Enjoy your Sundays and don't let them ruin your Sundays. There's something special about Sundays in the fall. We're getting the beautiful weather here, and don't give this football team that much control over you to now ruin every one of your Sundays. Enjoy the bye week, and coming out of the bye, whatever happens. We'll be covering it. Hopefully better days are ahead, but don't give them that power over you.
Yeah. Try to detach emotionally. You can still watch, still analyze. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about the future.
Sure, yeah.
But don't be emotionally invested anymore, because this team is not going to make the playoffs. And if they do, they're probably just going to get waxed. So I would try to, and we'll probably, if they start looking like they're going to make the playoffs, we're going to get back in and we're going to be all hyped and stuff. And we're going to try to avoid that, but it's difficult to avoid, but just try to detach a little bit. Get a healthy amount of distance from this team, because they're pretty goddamn bad, and they're pretty annoying to watch. So, come hang out with us, come chat with your fellow Falcons fans, commiserate, but don't get too deep.
Just
don't
let them
ruin your time. Yeah, don't let them ruin your day. Don't do that. Come and hang out with us. We'll get the feelings out here, and then you could go on and have a great rest of your Sunday. Good news is it'll be over early in the day on Sundays from now on. This is the only game that's not at 1 o'clock. So,
hey, how about those schedule makers were cooking by now?
They nailed it. They nailed it. Yeah. Great job, guys. We also had, of course, joining us, Alan Strk. He's at Alan Strk on the Twitters. Alan, anything else you want to add before we sign off?
I'm sorry, folks. I'm exhausted. This team, thank you for having a bye week. I can't wait. It's all I really got.
Looking forward to that. Yeah, it's my favorite part of the season now.
I'm still riding this week for sure. The site, we're still pumping out content. We'll still be creative, but man, we just need a break.
Yeah, it's a bad one. It's a bad one, guys. Also with us, we have Jordan Watkins at Big 75 fella. He's my co-host for Trench Talk, which will be coming out on Tuesday. Rough one, Jordan. Anything else you want to add before we sign off tonight?
Adnan, Alan, Kev, everybody in the chat, and once again, shout out everybody in the chat. I love you all. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be so happy I don't have to see your faces next Sunday. All right, I'll be back in California.
I don't blame you.
It's gonna be a good 75, 80-degree day.
Yep.
Because remember, usually I'm waking up to watch these games, right? So I'm just gonna go to the pool, I'm gonna make a daiquiri, and just enjoy my day. I'm gonna enjoy not seeing any single one of you for a whole Sunday. I just will.
Very fair.
No, that's fair, and I'm not going to take offense to that. It'll be nice separation, nice space. Even your friends, you need some alone time. Even from your good friends, because it's healthy to get that space, and very healthy to get space from this Falcons team for sure.
Also, Kevin, I'm letting you know in real time I'm not going to be there on Wednesday. Not because I don't want to, but because the Hawks are playing at home. They're facing
convenient. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, perfect. Actually, very perfect. Shout out to the
convenient.
Hawks.
Convenient.
They're facing the Knicks at home, so I'll be down at State Farm Marine.
Well, I hope that's better than the Falcons talk. It will be. I imagine that it will be because it seems like the Hawks are on a bit of a heater.
The Knicks is always muscle.
They just lost to the third string Heat last night. But also, before I would be remiss if we did not mention once. Congratulations to Jake Matthews for tying Matt Ryan for the Falcons' all-time games played streak. I think it's 154 or 156.
I think 154.
Yeah, 154. So Jake Matthews has not missed a single game since 2014, or going back to 2014. He missed some time in his rookie season, but that has been the pinnacle of consistency at the left tackle position, and a whole decade straight of never missing a start, including that one time Thursday night where I think his wife gave birth, and he still flew up in a private charter with Arthur Blank to Carolina to play in that game. Big shout out to Jake Matthews.
Yeah, great for sure. Yeah, and shout out to Kyle Pitts. Congratulations on becoming a dad, Kyle. Big shout out. So,
I was like, what did he do?
Yeah.
Hey, we're not shouting him out for anything on the football field.
Nothing on the field. Yeah. Wow. No. Congrats, Kyle. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. This is dark times. Guys, thank you so much. Today's show is, of course, brought to you by Betonline and by Prize Picks. We will be back for Trench Talk. We'll be back for Wednesday's show. And then we're going to be taking a little bit of a break. Obviously, no post-game show because there's no game. We'll probably take it a little bit easy the following week, too, since we have no game to break down on Trench Talk. I mean, we can talk about if we want to do a different type of show or something else. But, maybe there'll be a emergency Black Monday show tomorrow. We'll see. Probably not. I wouldn't get your hopes up personally. But
Arthur Blank won't fucking do that.
No,
he will never do that.
He won't. But I think there's a very good chance at the end of the year if they don't, they don't end up getting to the playoffs. I think it's probably over, but we'll see. We got a long way to talk about it and a lot of time, and unfortunately, you guys have to start the draft takes because if I don't, I'm not going to have anything else to talk about except railing on this team, and even railing on this team gets old after a certain point. So, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time on the Falcoholic Live. Like, subscribe on YouTube if you haven't done so yet. Make sure you leave that 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. Check out the Patreon. We're going to be rolling out YouTube memberships too. So if you're like just a YouTube person and you want the YouTube benefits and don't really do much with the podcast, then the YouTube channel membership is probably more your style versus the Patreon. I'm trying to figure out if I can make them link up. They're not really playing well together at this point, but Otherwise, it's like if you're mostly YouTube, you probably want the YouTube membership. If you're mostly podcast, you probably want the Patreon. But I'll give you guys more updates on that as we work through that stuff to get some more exclusive content heading your way and stuff like that. Early access to videos, things of that nature, cool stuff, and some merch, hopefully, maybe. So we'll see. But yeah, we're working on cool stuff. Whether the Falcons are good or not, we'll be here. So thanks, guys, so much. We'll see you next time on the Falcoholic Live. Have a great night, folks.